Season was terrible. Personally, unlike most people, I did like season 1. Season 2 was fine, but it was still trash at times. Season 3 is just terrible. They introduced Professor Pig, personally one of my favorite villains. He's pretty creepy. If you don't know about him, basically, he's just some guy that wants to make people perfect. He's a psychopath. He's one of Batman's creepiest and scariest villains. Well, in this show, he's like a 60-something-year-old man that got fired, so he kills people. And he also gets killed by someone that's drugged. That he drugged. Very lame. Then Victor Zsasz returns for a little bit. He doesn't do too much. I did really like the scene. It's the only really memorable thing that I could actually say that I did enjoy was when we actually finally see Victor Zsasz with scars on his back while he's in prison when Marcus goes to see him. There's a really dumb line. Batwoman fights Victor Zsasz, but as, herself, she doesn't have her costume. Marcus wanted Batwoman to go save her or whatever. And he knew, I guess, that her identity would get exposed. But the mom was like, oh, now I know why Batwoman didn't come. Because she was already here. What, because she can fight? She's Batwoman? She didn't use a batarang or whatever. She just beat up Victor. And yeah, he's a trained assassin. Or whatever. Trained hitman, I mean. Well, he's not really a hitman. That's just kind of what he's portrayed in most stuff. He's a trained killer. He's good at killing. He kills people. But he got beat. Got beat up, and she's just like, well, I guess you're Batwoman. Mad Hatter's in here. He was terrible. I knew he was going to be terrible as soon as the trailer dropped for this show. Killer Croc shows up for a little bit. Lackluster. Poison Ivy, God, they did her so bad in this show. They hype her up as like this really tough villain. It works for maybe a few seconds. And then she gets like beat up easily. What's her name becomes Poison Ivy during this season. She doesn't really do too much bad stuff. But then they act as if she's like this terrible supervillain. And she's still... Okay, I remember her name now. Mary. She's basically the exact same, except she has powers now. She accidentally kills one person. That is it. Oh, and she has like major guilt over it, right? And she wants to talk to the family about it. Of the person she accidentally killed. Well, when she goes to talk to him about it, she finds out that Alice lied and said that she killed them. Well, after she finds that out, she no longer has guilt. Yeah, that's the end of her guilt story. Yeah. Did you want more? Well, too bad. That's seriously the end. Alice says she was the one who killed him, but Mary knows. It was just to, not get her in prison, to stop Mary from being in prison. She knows the truth, but she doesn't have guilt now because Alice said she did it. Okay, yeah, well, let's go with that. There's a Mr. Freeze episode. It's still boring. They try and do the exact same shit for season 1, but terribly. Season 1, Alice. She tried her best to show Kate that she was not redeemable. She is no longer Beth. She cannot be saved. That was like the whole thing. That was a big part of season 1. And it went to the point where her own sister did not believe she could be saved anymore. So, in this season, guess what they do? Is Alice redeemable? We went over that in season 1. Why are we doing this again exactly? Can you please tell me? Please? Please. And, yeah, Alice just wants to be a good person now, or blah, 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 blah. Mary is friends with her now, or whatever, even though she killed her mom back in season 1. They kind of just skim over that. There's like one scene of her mentioning in it. Maybe 2, actually. But she was like, well, I can believe she can change, and that's kind of it. Like, no, can you give me more details on why you're, friends with her and you like her now? Even though she killed your mom? Please? You also do the same shit from season 1, but terribly again. With Ryan dating Batwoman again. But this one's a different Batwoman. I didn't care for the relationship in season 1. It was alright. But it was off and on again, and she was closeted and whatever. And then she tried to move on and pretend she was straight, went through struggles, had problems with her mom, actually, had character. And then this, she's just dating Ryan. They have arguments every now and then. There you go. That's it. Boring. I don't care for them dating at all. I just hated this season. Honestly, if it gets a 4th season, I really don't want to watch it with how bad this season was. Kind of like how a lot of movie series or TV shows I watch, I always want to just pretend the season or movie that I didn't like doesn't exist. And that's what I really want to do with this season 3. Because it is so terrible. This is Brahms the Boy 2 and Max 2 combined. I don't like it. It is terrible. They also do another thing. Not the exact same thing from season 1. This is the 3rd thing now. Season 1, there was a hacker, and they threatened to reveal Batwoman's identity or whatever. They do that exact same thing in this one. Where, oh no, the main villain threatens to reveal Batwoman's identity. Like, oh my god, can you stop already? Here's the last thing I want to talk about because it's ridiculous. They realize that they have to, make it so people think Marcus is a bad person now or whatever for some reason. So, Jada takes the fall and finally admits some of the bad stuff she's been doing, right? And you know that? That gets him incriminated, he loses his job, blah, 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 blah. But they kind of skim over the fact that he hacked everybody's phones to announce that he was going to reveal Batwoman's identity to the world. He hacked their phones. But nope, not sketchy at all. Not a bad guy. I mean, he didn't make any threats. He just said, hey, I'm going to scream on a rooftop what Batwoman's real identity is. He just sounds like a lunatic. But he still hacked a bunch of people's phones, and people, they just kind of skim over that fact. I thought it was dumb. It's not like, he wasn't a billionaire and he owned Wayne Enterprises because something that happened in the show with Jada Jet and blah blah blah. Anyway, he could have just, made a live stream or whatever and announced it, and that was it. But no, he hacks their phones and they're like, well, we have to show that he's a bad guy. Well, what about the fact that he hacked phones? But yeah, that's it.